Hey, sixth graders. In this video today, I want to talk about what you're doing in class on Tuesday, the 19th of March. Yeah, March 19th. So let's go ahead and dive in about what it is that we're going to work on. We talked about it in class yesterday. If you were there, I just want to review a couple of key points so that you're set and ready to go. All right, today is all about working on this sim lab for electric fields. So if we take a look at the doc, let me shrink myself down here. Okay, if we take a look at the doc, a couple things I want to point out to you. Okay. In periods 2 and 5, we got through and did some of the introduction yesterday. Period 9, we did not get to that. Do not worry, any class, about finishing the introduction. We will work on that again together or review it on Wednesday in class. So don't worry about the introduction, but you do have the link up here to get to the website. And this is important too. There is a video of me going through and explaining the different parts of the lab. So if you get stuck, you can always go and watch that video and watch me go through and kind of explain how to get it set up and what to do for each of the parts of the lab as you go through it. Okay. So don't be afraid to use that. You might not need to watch the whole thing when you open it up because obviously at the beginning it'll go through part one and then you can stop it after you watch part one, and then you can go ahead and do it. And that's if you're having trouble with it. Okay. So don't be afraid to use that. You are allowed to work in groups. Groups cannot be bigger than 3 people. So if it's 4 people that you want to have in a group, rock, paper, scissors, something to split yourselves up into 2 groups of 2, but not groups bigger than 3, please. Okay. If you want to work on your own, you can work on your own. Total student choice for this as you're going through it. Okay. All right. So, like I said, you have the video there and you have the link, and you are working on part one today. Part one. So, when you are in part one, the goal is for you to finish this by the time the class period ends. Okay. You should be able to finish this easily before the class period ends. And so, that's kind of the expectation is that when we start class tomorrow, we'll work on 2 and 3, parts 2 and 3, but part one should be pretty close to being done, if not already done. So, make that your goal to try to finish that in class today. All right, real quick, make sure you're paying attention to here where it says once you have the sim open that you click on electric field, voltage, values, and grid in that menu in the top right corner of the sim so that you get everything that you need. Remember that you have positive and negative charges down at the bottom that you can pull out and drag into the field. Remember that over to the right, you have this thing called the voltmeter. Okay. And in here, I'm just calling it the meter. So, like right here, it says move the meter. That's that blue thing that is at the end, or I'm sorry, that is over to the right of the sim, right? And so you move it so that those crosshairs, right, the little plus sign is right where you want it to take a reading, and it'll give you a number on the bottom. That number then goes in here and you move it from 0.5 to 1 to 1.5 to 2 and so on, and you fill in your chart. How do you know your distances? Well, I showed you yesterday. Each of the major grid lines, when you have that grid selected for your field, each of the major thick grid lines is 0.5 meters. So every time you move it to one of those major grid lines, you're moving it 0.5 meters or half of a meter away from your charge. So you're going to do that different distances for one positive charge. Then you're going to put the positive charge back down in the bottom, pull out a negative charge, just one negative charge, and you're going to repeat the same thing, this time putting in the negative charges. Okay. That's all it is for part number 1 here, right? Just notice it goes all the way here to 5. That's it. Okay. There are 2 questions up here to kind of just draw your attention to a couple observations that I want you to make. So they're bolded and they're sub bullets here. So just make sure that you're answering these as well for part 1. Part 2 is a little bit different. You should have enough time to get started on part 2. Part 2 is looking about the amount of charges. So instead of changing the distance, you're going to put that voltmeter 1 meter away, which is 2 grid lines away. And it tells you that up here. And you're going to leave it there. And all you're going to do is keep adding charges, positive charges on top of each other. So you start with one charge and then you grab another one and put it right on top of the charge the previous charge so that you have 2 of them on top of each other, then 3, then 4, then 5. And you're just putting in the strength of the charge. Okay, that's it for part 2. So there could be a lot of you, excuse me, there could be a lot of you that finish part 1 and 2 today, which would be great. Okay. If you get done with 1 and 2 and there's times left, I do not want you going to part 3. Do not want you going to part 3. Okay. There's a couple other things to do with part 3 that I want to show you. Do not do part 3. So if you finish 1 and 2, awesome. You can then work on other classwork from some other class. And you can read for your AR stuff, which I know is due this week. For your language arts classes, just make sure you're not doing anything that's going to disrupt the class and cause a problem for the sub. Okay. Okay. That's it as we go forward. Just remember too, if you are working on test rewrites for the energy test, okay, those are due Thursday to me. Okay. Thursday for those energy rewrites. Other than that, this should be pretty straightforward. Remember, use that video at the top if you have any questions. Work well, stay on task, and I will see you guys on Wednesday. Have a good day.